The leader of opposition of Australia, Peter Dutton, is on his third visit to India, but his first visit as the leader of opposition and also the head of the Liberal Party of Australia. This is a significant and a strategic visit to India. Mr. Dutton has agreed to speak to NDTV, so thank you so much for your time.
That's a great pleasure, thank you.
Let me begin with your visit here. There's too much that you have packed in. Too many visits, too many events planned. What's high on your agenda?
Well, it was a cricket game, but it's not been possible to see one, which is very frustrating for a cricket tragic. But we've had a very hectic start to the schedule, and the trips are always time limited and condensed, so try and fit as much in whilst you're here. And the relationship is so dynamic now, the opportunities so expansive that there are so many people you can catch up with, and you can't do justice to all of the aspects of the relationship. But we've met some amazing people, and I'm really looking forward to the balance of our trip, and I love coming back to India. It's a wonderful country.
Since you spoke about cricket, there is that sense also that the final of the World Cup 2023 would be between India and Australia. Are you also among those who would be batting for that kind of contest?
Well, I think Nathan Lyon and others are greater authorities than me, and they're suggesting so. And I mean, Australia started pretty slowly, but the last couple of games have been just spectacular. Some of the innings, from Glenn Maxwell and others who probably hadn't fired have now stepped up, including David Warner. And I think there's an opportunity for Steve Smith to step up. He's not had a great series. I think it would be a dynamic final. I hope it doesn't harm relationships one way or the other.
Okay. Are you one of those who feel that India-Australia or India as a country will be seen very differently pre-G20 and post-G20? There are two different Indias.
I think Australia has a fairly unique perspective on India, because we now have 1 million amazing people who have Indian heritage. And so our exposure to India is probably greater than many other nations, bearing in mind that we're only a population of 25.8 million people. So the community, the culture, the celebration of heritage and family, that's all been a very significant part of Australian modern society. So I think we've had a particular insight, and a positive one, into Indian culture and the people for a long period of time, those people-to-people links. So I don't want to say that we've got a unique perspective by any stretch, but I do think we've got a very significant insight and a positive one. So people can speak pre and post different events. For me, the development, the exciting transition as the economy grows is something that we should continue to celebrate.
Would you say that India right now is best poised to lead the world in many ways, what we saw play out in New Delhi, particularly during the G20?
Well, I think under the Prime Minister's leadership, under the leadership of the government and many business leaders, India is well and truly on the world stage, and the opportunity to really launch to the next phase economically is obvious. In Australia's own interest, we want to continue to develop and strengthen the trading relationship, not just in education, but agriculture, in defence, in critical minerals. I mean, there are many aspects to the relationship that we can really consolidate and gain from both sides. But India certainly is now a world leader, and I think Prime Minister Modi, who I've had the great opportunity and honour to meet with on 2 occasions now, has led a revolution, and the Indian people are the beneficiary of that.
So you're saying that Prime Minister Modi has led a revolution. That's quite a headline that you've given for us. Since you speak about the Indian community, which is very, very vibrant, and given the number 800,000 in Australia, is that what is making Australia do some kind of tightrope walk when it comes to its position vis-a-vis its Five Eye ally, Canada? Because of the straining of ties between India and Canada, you also have a high percentage of Sikh population?
I think there's an imperative for the relationship to go to the next stage, as we've seen with the signing of the Quad agreement, for a number of reasons. I think, again, because of the trust that exists between our two peoples. I think because of the incredible investments that are being made on both sides of the relationship. And I also think geopolitically, particularly given the uncertainty in the South China Sea, the world lives in the most precarious and dangerous position since the Second World War. And it's important that like-minded countries with similar shared values come together. And that's certainly the case between Australia and India. And the land border situation between China and India is in the minds of most Indians. We deal with the reality in the South China Sea of aggression from China on a regular basis. And at the same time, we want a very healthy trading relationship because our respective economies have benefited from the trading relationship with China. So it's a dynamic period, and it's important for friends like Australia and India and other like-mindeds to come together and to assert the values that our people represent and live out.
Yes, particularly what is happening in the context of India-Canada. And Canada, Australia are part of Five Eyes. There is intelligence sharing grouping. When the Canadian Prime Minister made those allegations on the floor of the House, many saw that as breaking of protocol. India has been asking for sharing of intelligence if what he claimed on the floor of the House was true. That hasn't really happened. And Australia hasn't really joined in as far as the rhetoric is concerned. What made Australia do that way?
I think that's an issue between Canada and India for discussion between the two leaders, between the two countries. It's probably not helpful that I contribute to the debate, given that I've already given you a headline for this story. But we have from an Australian perspective, we have a wonderful friend in India. We have obviously a strong friend in Canada, and the Five Eyes relationship is absolutely sacrosanct. And there'll be bumps along the road. There'll be mistakes that are made, but ultimately it's important for like-minded countries to come together and for cultures to be respected and for sensitivities within relationships to be acknowledged and respected. So I'm sure that people will look back in hindsight and wish they hadn't said this or hadn't done that in relation to particular incidents, but it's not something that I'm going to comment on as an Australian leader.
Fine enough, but there is also large concern among Indians who study in Canada because of the visa concerns and others. What is it that Australia has to offer for those students?
Well, from an Australian perspective, I think as we've demonstrated over a long period of time, whilst we're not a perfect society like any country, we're a safe society, we're respectful, we value very much the contribution, not just of Indians who are studying, but those who are investing. I'm here with a business delegation led by Dr. Virk and others who have achieved and accomplished incredible feats in the business world. They're investing into Australia, they're investing into India, they're employing young Australians, they're employing young Indians, and they're helping develop and really consolidate the relationship. So for people who are looking to invest or looking to study, Australia is a wonderful destination, and already one of the things that makes me most proud in the relationship is watching young people over the course of the last 10 decades who are good friends, who started with nothing, who came as students or came with very little more than a suitcase of their clothes, are now multi-millionaires and are very proud to call Australia home, but will never ever forget their heritage and their culture and their motherland of India. And we always say as Australians, we're a great multicultural success story. We've welcomed people from the four corners of the earth, and we want people to be Australian, but we never want them to forget who they are or where they've come from. And to see those young, now second generation Indian Australians celebrating their culture, it's a beautiful thing to watch in Australian society. So I think we have a lot to offer, and I hope that we're only on the ground floor of the relationship.
You're talking about the ground floor of the relationship, and Dr. Work and others who are, very critical in fostering this human capital role that India is playing in this relationship. Help us understand what next in the India-Australia ties, and does it have to do with domestic changes in Australia? Will that lead to perhaps that movement from the ground floor to floors above?
Well, I'm the leader of the opposition, and I intend to be the Prime Minister after the next election, so I dedicate myself to making sure that we can continue to build the relationship. The human-to-human links, people-to-people links are quite amazing, and when you consider what's already been achieved, it's just the start, and that's the most exciting aspect of the relationship. But the trading relationship, the work that we can do together in defence material, in manufacturing, in critical minerals, in the space debate, when we look at what we can do in AI, in robotics, there are so many opportunities yet to be discovered, but the goodwill that exists to make sure that they will.
Mr. Dutton, since this is your third visit, in a different capacity certainly, what do you think has changed in India in these many years, or these trips that you have had?
Well, the thing that's remained the same is that the warmth of reception and the hospitality, meeting with government ministers. As I say, I've met with Prime Minister Modi on 2 occasions now, and just the reception, the way in which we're received, the cordial nature of the engagement, it's very respectful, and I hope that that's the sense that our counterparts experience as well, and I think it is. We had a wonderful visit from Prime Minister Modi in Sydney not too long ago, and he was received with a rock star reception, and it was good to see the respect that was there. So I've always felt that respect coming from Australia to India, but you can feel the country starting to move as you speak with business leaders and government leaders about the projections, the growth in exports from Australia to India. All of that indicates that India is on a very positive trajectory, and I hope that we can continue to support her in that cause.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for speaking to NDTV.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you.